This video is about the prefabs of Unity. So the prefab, if you use Maya, it's a little bit like the reference of Maya, and this is something we use a lot in real time because it will save memory. Okay, so I show you a very simple example first. I will create a cube. Okay, so I create this cube. I will scale it. Okay, give a different shape. Okay, so that this is a cube, and the cube is loaded in this scene. So it means in this scene we have all the information about number of vertex, edges, faces. Okay, so now what I will do, I will transform this cube to a prefab. So for that I will just drag and drop this cube somewhere in my project. Perhaps I will create a folder and I will call it yeah, just test, so I know it's not a very important folder. So I go inside and I move this cube here. So now what happened is saved this cube, this geometry in my hard drive in this folder asset test. And if I select the file, you can see there is written it's a cube.prefab. So this object became a prefab. So what is a prefab? It's just a simple file, and you will be able to have access to this file as a reference. Okay, so now you see the cube is no more white in the hierarchy. It's written in blue with a small arrow. So what does it mean? It means that, and you see there is a box, an icon of a box closed. So it means that this cube is now linked to a prefab. Okay, so it means it's a box, and in this box there is this prefab file. Okay, so what does it mean? Why we do that? It's because now this cube that I found it nice, I put it in the hard drive, and now this cube will be able to be used by any other scene or even project. Okay, and the second reason why we use prefab, it's if I want to have many cubes in my scene, I will not duplicate this one. What I will do, I will just load more of this prefab. Sorry. Okay. So here, every time I do a drag and drop, he load one more time this prefab. But why it's interesting to do that? First, because in memory, he will load this object only one time. Okay. If I had to duplicate this object, if this object, for example, in this case 8 vertex, every time I duplicate, I add 8 vertex to my scene. So if it's a big object with thousands of polygons, like a tree, every time I duplicate the tree, I have more and more and more polygon. But if this tree is a prefab, actually, it will load in memory only one time the tree, and it will just duplicate it, but not duplicate really the vertex. It will just know the same tree is at different position. Okay. The other thing very important, it's because it's linked to this cube. So it's, I told you, like the reference of Maya. So what I could do is to edit this object. So here, when I select it, I can see the object here. And if I select it here, what I will edit is not the cube that I have in the hierarchy. Here, selecting it, I can edit directly the cube from the file. Okay, so for that, for example, I could say, okay, I will change the scale, and the Z scale will be 0.5. Okay, so here he modify this file, and because the file is linked to my scene, he modify also indirectly the scene. Okay, so it's a first way to modify this object. Second way, I could just double click on it, and here I will be able again to modify this cube. Okay, so here I work, it's like he opened temporarily this file, this prefab, and if I click here, I will go back to my scene and I will see the result. Okay. In the same time, if I want one to be bigger than the other, I don't need to do another prefab. What I can do, I can select it and not select this one, okay, but select a specific object like this one of the scene, and why not, I will scale it. Okay. So this one will be different. It's still loading the prefab, but there is an override on the scale. And to know that, if I check this object, you see here there is a blue line near the scale. So it means I have an override. If you don't know where are the other override, because perhaps this blue line is not very visible, you can click here. Every time you have an object, you click here and you see, oh, okay, there is an override on the transform. Okay, and here it show you what. If I select this one, override, there is no override. Okay, so here, even if I have an override, we still have the link. Okay, so here I can decide to change the scale here. Okay, and it will modify, of course, all my objects which use this prefab. Okay, so again, it's the same system that references of Maya, but it's much more powerful also because I will show you in a few minutes, you can do a prefab of a prefab, nested prefab. So, but this cube is not very interesting, so what I will do, I will remove it. Okay, I can keep this prefab, it's okay, it doesn't take a lot of space. And what I will do, I will load something from the asset store that I purchased before for $0. So if you have already purchased some asset, to find them, you can, and to load them in your project, because sometimes you purchased years ago, you create a new project, you want to re-import it. So you go to Window and you have the Package Manager. Package Manager, here I will have, by default it will probably display package my asset. So here I will see all the assets that I downloaded, purchased the last years. So here there are 95. And there is one that I usually use. This is the low poly mega pack. So you probably don't have it. You can go in the asset store and buy the low poly mega pack light. So this is a free one. Okay. So here it's in my list. I just need to click on re-download. I will re-download for this specific project. So it's pretty fast because it's very low poly object, and now that it's downloaded, I will import. So here I will import in my project, and for that he will do a kind of conversion of the file to adapt them to this version of Unity. So here I can download everything, and there is no script. I think so, or perhaps they changed something. No, it's okay. So here I will import. So now I see my simple nature pack here. No, this is this one, mega pack light. Okay, and inside I see different style. So here we have a Greek style, Roman style, sci-fi pack, steampunk. So let's work with the Greek one. The Greek is pretty nice. In a previous video, I explained to you when you download an asset, if this asset was not done on the same version of Unity, so HDRP and 2022, perhaps it will not be able to display properly the shader. Okay, so here we click on Window, Rendering, HDRP Wizard. If you don't have HDRP Wizard, it means you use the wrong version of Unity. And here I will just click on Convert all built-in material to HDRP. Proceed. Normally it's done. Sometimes it will not update these thumbnails, but next time you reopen Maya, it will be fine. So here, it's not this one that I need to download. This is this one. Okay. So here, yeah, I have my object, different kind of object. Actually, they have a scene. Okay. So if I double click on this scene, it will open the scene. Okay. So you have a scene made with all these object. Okay. But you can see when I double click on the scene, so if I open the scene, the shading is not very nice. I told you that before. It's because this scene was not created with this version of Unity. So if I click on the sun, it will be better, but we don't have this nice sky. So again, what we must do when we want to use this asset, we don't use the Unity scene, okay? We will use a prefab. So here I need to create a new scene. And I will start to use the object. So in this Greek we have the model. What they are the FBX file. Okay, if I click on it, you see FBX. Here, if I click on prefabs, so it created already some prefab. One is already a house. The house is full house like that, and you have also the object. Okay, so the difference, it's they are the same model here that this one, sorry, this one, but this one were FBX, okay, and this one are prefab, so they are optimized, okay. So after we have the scene, I told you we don't need to use, and texture, it's only one texture, okay. So let's go in the prefab. I will take, for example, the ground. Okay, so we will put it at 0. So how I use this prefab? But I will just, why not load more? Okay. And here you remember I will snap them to be sure they are in a good position. What I can do, why not? Actually, I could download a prefab. Okay, copy a prefab. Okay, so it's still blue, but they are always prefab. So here I will move them. Okay, I will use V again, snap them, etc., etc. So here I could do a full floor. I duplicate, I move it here, I use V to snap, etc., etc. So here I can do a full floor using only this small prefab. Okay. If you decide that you want, for example, to change the thickness of this prefab, but you remember, I will just go here and I will scale it. Will be probably Y. Okay. And then I modify this small floor and it modify the full floor. Okay, but I will not touch to this prefab. Okay, what I will do, why not, I can create a new prefab from this one. Okay, so here what I can do, perhaps I will duplicate this one, Control D, I will move it here, and to do a new prefab from this one, which is already a prefab, what I can do is I right click, prefab, and I unpack. So what's happening is now it's just a simple object. Okay, it's not connected anymore with this Greek floor. Okay, so here I can even, why not, remove that. Okay, so I have this one. So now that I can change it, I will, for example, scale it. Okay, just like that. And here I will call it stone, Greek floor stone seeker. Okay, And if I drag and drop, okay, now I have another one but thicker. Okay, and then I can reuse it many times. Okay, like I did before. Okay, so I will remove that. Let's work, for example, with a column. Okay, so same, I can duplicate. Control D, I move. Control D, I move. Control D, I move. Okay, so here it's how we will work. We will duplicate it, but what I could do, why not? If I know I will have to do, you know, a lot of alley or road with column on both sides. Okay, why not? I could select all these objects. I right click and I will click on create empty parents. Okay, so I will call it line of column or column line line. Okay, and why not that? I can say it's a prefab because I will need to reuse it. Okay, so what I do, I drag and drop that here. Okay, and now what we have this prefab made of another prefab. So what I can do now, it's I can copy this column. Okay, and important again, in memory it will load only one column. Okay, so even if you have 100 column in memory, it will load only one. That's how it's faster. And we use that also in Maya, in some rendering engine, in some all the software normally do that, especially the visual effects software. For example, if you replace a particle by a bubble, it will not load the bubble object 1000 times. It will load it only one time, and it has a, with a system of prefab or instance, way to duplicate it. Okay, so now you understand this prefab is made of another prefab. So it means that if I decide to change this column size, okay, so here I can double click on this column, and if I decide to scale it like that, if I go back here, we have a modification. Okay, so I can go back here, go back to 1, and here we have a modification. Okay, and again I can take any object, scale it, and here you will have a blue override on position and scale because I move it in the y-axis. Okay, so that's all about the prefab. Another good thing, and we will probably do that in class with prefab, is I could use this building. Okay, and I could create, why not, a full city. Okay, so I can decide to have this building here, another one here. Of course I will turn it a little bit so perhaps people will not notice this is the same building. I can remove, why not, remove, yeah, it's a little bit more tricky because it will ask me if I want to remove it from the prefab. Okay, but it's how you can create a city. You will have perhaps 5-10 model of houses, and you will just load them with a prefab and create a full street or full city. Okay, there are other things in the prefab. They are more complicated prefab, but we will stop only with that. So prefab and nested prefab. Okay, so use it every time one object will appear several times in your scene. Use it because you will use less memory, and it's how you will reach a good real time with good FPS. Thank you.